So the topic is about neuroglia. So neuroglia are said to be the supporting cells of neurons which performs the functions of nervous system. So apart from the neurons, these neuroglia are also a kind of cells present in the nervous system. So when coming to its classification, neuroglia are of 4 types: astrocytes, ependymal cells, microglial cells, and oligodendrocytes. So when coming to astrocytes, so these are star-shaped cells which consists of a central cell body which is surrounded by cytoplasmic projections. So structure seems to it have a star-shaped cell body. Apart from that, it have a cytoplasmic projections extended from that cell body. And mostly this kind of astrocytes are found in brain and functions as blood-brain barrier. And the second type is ependymal cells. So these are also a kind of neuroglial cells. These ependymal cells, these are cube-shaped cells which forms the lining of brain ventricles and spinal columns of central canal, spinal column central canal. So these are able to produce cerebrospinal fluid that fills internal cavities of brain and spinal cord, CSF. So where astrocytes performs the functioning of forming blood-brain barrier, whereas ependymal cells, they perform the function and in production of the fluid, CSF fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. So this fluid which fills the internal cavities of brain and spinal cord. And these ependymal cells have cilia which helps to circulate the CSF. And the third kind of so the third kind of neuroglia are said to be microglial cells. And these microglial cells, they are all, compared to all the neuroglial cells, these are very smallest. These are smallest of all the microglial cells, and these supports the neurons by phagocytosis or phagocytizing bacterial cells and dead cell debris. So here each and every neuroglial cell have a particular function. Astrocytes performing as a blood-brain barrier, and ependymal cells produce CSF. In the same way, microglial cells, which are said to be the smallest of all the neuroglial cells, they supports neuron by performing phagocytosis or phagocytizing microbial or bacterial cells and dead cell debris. Phagocytosis is nothing but killing of foreign particles or pathogenic microorganisms that enter inside a body. So that process is said to be phagocytosis, and that can be helped with the help of this microglial cells. Whereas the last one, oligodendrocytes, they occur in rows along the nerve fibers. So the main function of these oligodendrocytes, they provide insulating layers of myelin around the axons, so in both the brain and spinal cord. So these oligodendrocytes have the ability to form myelin sheath around the axonal membrane, so that it provides insulation to the axonal membrane. This myelin helps to speed up the transmission of electrical signals. So this is an axonal membrane, so the electrical signals have been passed on from one neuron. So within the neuron, it has received from one neuron, and it has to pass through the neuron, and it has to give the signal to another neuron. So while transmission of this nerve impulse or action potential, so it should not distract from that. So the ions have to transmit it very fast. So an insulating layer around this axonal membrane helps in speed transmission of this nerve impulse. So this myelin sheath helps for speed transmission of electrical impulses in neurons. So peripheral neurons or peripheral nervous system contains neuroglial cells. So we have seen all these kinds of cells. So astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglial cells, ependymal cells, all these are found in CNS. So nothing but central nervous system, so brain and spinal cord. So this neuroglia found in central nervous system. So in peripheral nervous system also we can find the neuroglia. So but we call them as Schwann cells because these peripheral nerve system like neuroglial cells are said to be Schwann cells. And these Schwann cells have the ability to form myelin sheath around the axons and perform similar role as oligodendrocytes of CNS. So if you see the functioning of oligodendrocytes, particularly transmission of nerve impulse is speed up by the oligodendrocytes as they have the ability to provide insulating layers, the myelin sheath around the axons. So the same function is done by Schwann cells, but this is the case with the peripheral nervous system, whereas oligodendrocytes forms an insulating layer around the central nervous system. So these nerve fibers are nothing but these are a thread-like extensions of a nerve cell and consists of axon and myelin sheath. So this nerve fiber majorly consists of, this is a nerve fiber and it is consists of majorly three layers. The top upper layer, the outer layer is called epineurium, and the middle layer is called perineurium, and the innermost layer is called endoneurium. And if we see, depending on the structure, the nerve fibers are divided into again two types: myelinated nerve fibers and unmyelinated or non-myelinated nerve fibers. So nothing but the nerve fibers which are insulated with the help of myelin sheath, then those are said to be myelinated nerve fibers. If myelin sheath is absent, so in that case we call it as unmyelinated or non-myelinated nerve fibers. And depending on the distribution also, so these nerve fibers are of two types: somatic and visceral nerve fibers. So somatic nerve fibers were able to supply to skeletal muscles of the body, whereas visceral or autonomic nerve fibers, they supply to various internal organs of the body. So somatic in the sense which is voluntary in function. So somatic mainly, so wherever you got to get the somatic system, so it is about the skeletal muscles because these are voluntary muscles. So somatic nerve fibers are extended towards the skeletal muscles, and whereas visceral or autonomic nerve fibers, they have been extended to different internal organs of the body. So this is up to the neuroglial cells and nerve fibers. So if we observe the properties of nerve fibers, we can observe here. So major properties of nerve fibers are excitability, conductibility, refractive period, which includes both absolute refractive period and relative refractive period. And apart from excitability, conductibility, refractive period, unfatigability, all or none response, summation and accommodation. These are all the properties of a nerve fiber. So when coming to the excitability, whenever an action potential or a nerve impulse or a stimulus, so it gives an information to the nerve, so it gets converted into an electrical impulse. So if a stimuli, so if a chemical substance or chemical mediator get released, then a nerve receives the sensory signal and it transmits to other neurons with the help of electrical signals. Okay, so this process where the nerve fibers sending off this sensory impulse and converting into electrical impulse is said to be excitation. These nerve fibers are highly excitable and they were able to respond to various kinds of stimuli, and they are capable of generating electrical impulses. So that's why, so if we see any transmission, neuronal transmission, you can observe two kinds of neuronal transmission. One is electrical transmission, another one is chemical transmission. So any nerve impulse or an action potential of a nerve, so can be done both ways: electrical transmission and chemical transmission. Chemical transmission is with the help of chemicals like neurotransmitter, chemical mediators. Whereas electrical transmission is nothing but through ions like sodium ions, potassium ions, calcium ions, so like that. So the excitable nerve fibers are highly excitable, so they have the ability of excitation, and these nerve fibers were able to respond to various kinds of stimuli, and these nerve fibers have the capability of generating electrical impulses. So electrical impulses here, nothing, it means depolarization, repolarization and hyperpolarization. or completely an action potential. So the next step, conductivity. So it has another property. So nerve fiber have the ability of excitability, and nerve fiber also have the property of conductivity. So an action potential which is generated in a nerve fiber is propagated along its length to the axon terminal. So conductivity is nothing but conduction. Whatever the information it gets received has to be conducted throughout the nerve, and later it has to pass on to the next neuron. So for that reason, this conductivity, nothing but an action potential or a nerve impulse, whatever it is generated in a nerve fiber, so that will be propagated throughout the length of the axon terminal. So nothing but it has to be, so cell body will give the information, and throughout the axon it has to transmit it, and later axon terminals will receive the information and give it to the axon terminals, and here synaptic knobs will be present inside which synaptic vesicles are present. These synaptic vesicles were storing neurotransmitters. So these neurotransmitters were able to transmit the information which it gets received, and it gets passed on to the next neuron. In this way, a neuronal transmission occurs here. So that's why a nerve fiber have the ability of both excitation and conductivity. So the next property is refractive period. So while an action potential have been generated after the action potential started, the excitability of a nerve decreased during action potential. Hence, so to prevent that kind of decreased excitability, so a new impulse cannot be generated during an action potential. Okay. So one action, if a nerve is going to receive some information and it has been passed on, at that time only one action potential gets received and it can be passed on. Another new impulse or new action potential cannot be generated during an action potential. So if you observe here, so you can have this refractory period as two types here: absolute refractive period and relative refractive period. And the next one, unfatigability. Another property of this nerve fiber is unfatigability. So nothing but nerve fibers cannot be fatigued even when they are stimulated simultaneously. So they cannot get fatigue, or that they cannot get weak, or they cannot take rest. So they have a property of unfatigability. So they don't fatigue at all. So they don't get weak at all. They don't faint at all, like that. So this unfatigability, nerve fibers cannot fatigued even when they are stimulated simultaneously. So immediately, even though they are functioning very continuously also, so they should not undergo fatigue. So that's the property of nerve fibers. And one more, the most important property, all or none response. An action potential either is seen or none at all. So it means an action potential will be generated only if a stimulus of threshold strength is applied. Further increase in a strength of the stimulus or duration has no effect on amplitude of the action potential but can affect frequency. It indicates what? So the action potential is either completely seen or it cannot be seen at all. So only a threshold stimulus, so a stimuli which is variable to the nerve, nothing but a threshold stimulus only can generate an action potential. So more than the threshold level, more strength or more duration of time, if the threshold level exists also, so there is no effect on amplitude. So there is no change, or there is no action potential generated rapidly or soon. And the next property is summation. Application of subthreshold stimulus doesn't evoke an action potential. So we have seen here only a threshold strength or threshold action potential. So threshold stimulus only can generate an action potential. Even if it is increased or So if it is decreased, a subthreshold stimulus even cannot generate an action potential. So if subthreshold stimuli are applied in a very rapid succession, then they are added and produce an action potential. So simply having a subthreshold stimulus will not generate action potential, but however, if that subthreshold stimuli are applied in a very rapid manner, very immediate and very rapid, and they are added and produce an action potential, because by that time, so it reaches, if the subthreshold occurs very simultaneously, very rapidly, it may reaches the threshold point. That's why it can generate an action potential. And the next property is accommodation. So continuous stimuli, continuously, if any stimulus is nothing but here a nerve signal or a nerve impulse. So application of a continuous stimuli may decrease the excitability of nerve fiber. So that is also an important point here. Accommodation, it gets accommodated and it cannot be excited. So nerve fiber will not be excited if a continuous stimulation occurs. So these are the properties of nerve fibers.